Hey, how's it going everyone? So today we're going to be doing something a bit different. I'm here with fellow YouTuber extraordinaire, Akumaragon. You want to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, my name is Akumaragon, and I haven't really thought this part through.
what was it? What was it?
Okay, so here, I'll break it down. Hopefully, this will make it easier. So Akuma, like devil in Japanese or whatever, and Ragon is like a part dragon.
Okay, I'll just, for simplicity's sake, I'll just call you Aku. Is that okay?
Yeah, a lot of people do that. And
Alright.
your name, how do you pronounce it? Kiriko?
Yep,
Raiko?
Kiriko.
Kiriko.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
If you're interested in Aku, go subscribe to his channel and follow him on Twitter. I'll leave everything in the description below. But anyways, we're going to be talking about what makes an anime great, in our eyes anyway, because we've both seen our fair share of shows, and I think it'd be fun to get someone else's perspective other than mine on this channel. So yeah, and just so this video isn't all over the place, I do have some bullet point notes that I'd like to touch on as we're going through so the conversation can flow a lot better. And I guess we'll just go down the list. So first up is characters versus plot. And more specifically, which one do you find most important? Do you value characters more or the plot? Is it an equal balance?
Well, to be honest, I think it kind of depends on the show itself. Like, sometimes the characters are so good and relatable, just really well written, that the story kind of comes secondary to the show itself. Um, I wouldn't care if the story is sort of mediocre, just because I'm always happy to see those characters interact and be on screen together. And yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same sentiment. I'm more of a character-based guy because my favorite genre is slice of life. So, I'm more into those character-based stories, character-focused stories. And I think personally, like characters have more. This is gonna be controversial, but I personally think characters have more staying power than the plot. Um, in most cases at least, because when I remember a show, I remember the show for the characters. Obviously I remember the plot, but if we're talking about something like a slice of life show, like I don't know if you've watched like Non Biori or Sweetness and Lightning. There's also a new show that came out called Slow Loop, which is basically about two girls going fishing. But what those shows have in common is like there's no real overarching plot. You're really just watching the characters go about their daily lives, and there's just something relaxing about it. It's a lot more different, or it's a nice change of pace from all those shown in action series where the plot does play more of a significance. But on the other hand, it does get to a point where it is a bit much. Like I can only watch cute girls doing cute things for so long. Um, yeah, one show that comes to mind is K-On! I don't know if you've seen K-On!
I have. It's one of my favorites, actually.
Oh, really? You're not gonna. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna like this, but I was able to get through the first season, and then by the second season, like I stopped midway because again it was getting too much of the same thing. Too much of a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Have you watched Future Diary or Mirai Nikki?
I have, but a really long time ago.
So you remember the main character, right?
I do.
Yeah, so the reason I want to bring that up is because, going back to the characters, sometimes it's just fun to see how low a character can go. Because I distinctly remember I was just like so mind boggled at how stupid he was. That was memorable for all the wrong reasons, I guess. So, there's another anime I want to talk about, which is an anime that you and I both did, Blue Period, because I feel
Yes.
like the manga and the anime both interpreted the main character Yaguchi in different ways. So, do you believe that that's the case?
Well, in the case of Blue Period, I think the manga and the anime are very different, yet also very similar at the same time. So yeah, a lot of the characters that the way they adapted them in the show was kind of loosely based off of the manga, but at the same time, I like it didn't really ruin my enjoyment of the show, but instead I could enjoy both of those things separately, and I think it kind of helped that I watched the anime first and then read the manga second, because a lot of the criticism surrounding the Blue Period anime that I've read online was about how the animation and just the overall art style lacked in some details. And like, as much as I can always understand people's frustration with that, at the same time it's like animation and just drawing a manga or a couple of chapters is kind of different at the end of the day, or just really different. Even though the anime doesn't look as spectacular as the manga, I think a lot of people forget that it doesn't really have to, because, after all, animating a show is vastly different than just drawing a single page filled to the brim with amazing details. And in my opinion, you can always enjoy both of those things for different reasons, and that's what I did, and that's what I also tried to convince my friends to do.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. I wouldn't say it's unfair to compare the two. We'll go back to that topic, I guess, later on in the video, because that is one of the points I want to talk about. But we'll move on to the next point. So themes and tropes. Specifically, do you judge a show purely based on its tropes? And can tropes deter you from watching or continuing a show? Do tropes and themes get repetitive for you? Like, would you look at a show and go like, "Oh, great, it's another isekai"? I'll probably it's probably good. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. It's probably good, but I'm not gonna watch it because I'm not really in the mood for another isekai. Because that's definitely how I feel nowadays.
Well, I definitely feel it for the isekai genre mostly, because every season there seems to have been like at least 100 different isekai shows, and sometimes they stand out by having like different concepts. I remember there was this one show about a guy that got isekai'd, and then he had to run a pharmacy or something in this other world. Like, sometimes,
I think I've heard of that one.
yeah, I think it was last year. But, sometimes they do really stand out, but like, as a matter of fact, most of the time they just blend in, and it's like slightly different variations on the same idea. But, overall, I don't really judge a story based on its themes and tropes. But as you said, I like seeing things like a good majority throughout the episodes, and seeing it through, not maybe not entirely, but at least watching the first 3 to 5 episodes and seeing where it takes off. If it tries to turn those tropes on their head, if they're like old cliches, for example. But in terms of like a theme turning me off from the show completely, I don't really have that. I'm willing to give things a shot unless they're kind of morally weird and ambiguous. Then I would still give them a shot, but in a different manner, you know?
Yeah, I get that. I was about to say the same thing. Like, uh, just because it's going with like similar, or maybe even the same tropes and themes, it's really just about how the show does it differently. Because
Yeah.
you can't. It's really hard to come up with new and creative ideas. Let's be honest. But it's a lot easier to, and I guess it's like the best way is to just find out how you can do it differently. I guess on the topic of isekai, like which ones have you watched? Which ones surprised you? I guess, and I guess we don't have to talk about isekai specifically, but just shows that shared the same sort of themes and stuff. Which ones really surprised you?
Well, I'm gonna be really, really honest here. I have not seen an isekai in such a long time, but I peeped a little bit of ReZero fairly recently, and that surprised me quite a bit. But from what I've heard and the things I've seen, ReZero seems to be the creme de la creme of isekai. So maybe it's in like a league of its own.
Yeah, same thing for me. Like I watched like a bit of ReZero as well. I haven't watched it either, and then I just sort of forgot about it. Like I watched a bit of it when the first season came out.
Yeah, same here actually. But it's not just in the isekai genre, but also shonen. For example, Jujutsu Kaisen. I had never heard about the manga when the anime came out, and even when the anime came out, I was still like skeptical because oh, this brand new shonen that's first of all, shonen as a genre is really, I don't want to say filled, but it's oversaturated.
It's like it's saturated. Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Just a tiny bit.
Yeah, so yeah, just a tiny bit. You got your cool guys with their white hair and
all their
overpowered anime characters and yeah, all of that. But it surprised me quite a bit, and even after finishing season 1, I went to read the manga, and it still constantly surprises me, chapter by chapter. It's really good.
Yeah, I remember when my friend got me into JJK. Yeah, I was just blown away. First of all, by the animation. I think we all agree JJK's animation is like top notch.
Mappa is doing God's work.
Yep.
Every project.
Oh, side tangent. Speaking of Mappa, I never actually watched Attack on Titan. I never watched it.
Oh my god.
I know. It sounds crazy. But I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. I remember when it was just released back in 2013. Like all my friends were watching it. I watched the first I didn't even get through the first episode. I think I got through like half of the first episode, and I just didn't continue for some reason. I don't know.
Dude. Like people watch the first episode, then the first season. The first episode especially is like supposed to grab you in. You don't really see this stuff in the first episode quite frequently in other shows.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I was just in like I wasn't in the mood to watch it. Maybe I was gonna say in the right headspace. So that's kind of like but yeah, like a lot of people are like, oh dude, Attack on Titan is so good. I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. Eventually. I do, but like on a serious note, I do want to binge it.
I actually started watching it back in 2019, I think. I started from season 1 like properly, and then jumped to season 2, and it's been like a couple of years. But as you've said, recently I haven't been catching up, and I think the last episode is airing this Sunday. So, but I also think they're gonna make another part of the last season, so it's still not really finished, not yet.
On the topic of animation, haha. I lost my words. Clever transition. We're talking about art and animation. Ooh. So, can bad art or animation make or break a show for you? And for me personally, no, for the most part. I'm pretty open to whatever. I remember when Ping Pong the Animation came out. Have you heard of that show?
Yes, I have.
Yes. So I remember when I still haven't watched it, but I heard really like I've seen like a lot of good reviews on it. I heard really good things about it. Uh, I, I wouldn't say I was like turned off by the show because of the art. It just wasn't something that interested me at the time. But now that over the years, I've watched a bunch of different shows, a lot of good, some bad, some very bad. So I guess that really broadened my horizons. So I'm pretty much open to anything at this point. Again, I'm not like too nitpicky on like, oh, the animation's like terrible and all that. As long as the story is good and the characters are good as well, I think that can sort of carry the show for me. Like for example, Haikyuu season 4, right? Haikyuu season 4, the second part, they changed animators because of COVID and all that. The art wasn't the greatest at a lot of points, but the story is what kept me going, because I was just so invested in the characters.
Yeah, well, that really just circles all the way back to characters over the characters and plot going hand in hand over art quality. And I agree with you. The art doesn't really have to be Ufotable's Demon Slayer level of, amazing art and like fluid
or like
animation.
Fate Stay Night.
Yeah, exactly, to look at. But, it also doesn't really have to be something as rough as, for example, 2016's Berserk, or most 3D anime that came out recently, because those really are rough to look at.
I actually have in one of my notes CG in anime. How do you feel about CG?
Okay, yeah, CG in anime. Look, if it's not that X-arm, we're good. If it's Mappa with Attack on Titan, I think it's amazing. I think they try to do their best with the time they have and everything. There have been a lot of worse cases with CG in anime, but for the most part, I feel like if a studio is using it for time constraints or to do something that would require a lot of work, like harder work and time that they don't really have to spare in the first place, I think the CG can really help them and deliver the shows to us faster, like, as fans. So why should we just constantly hate on it?
Yeah, I guess it's more of a meme at this point, because like every like even when the CG isn't bad, even when it's like when it's good, we'll go like, oh look, it's CG,
Yeah, sure.
They use CG.
What do you mean? What do you mean they didn't animate every single fiber on the Titan's body and muscle? How? How could they not draw every single microfiber? How?
Yeah, speaking of which, have you watched Ranking of Kings?
I'm not fully caught up, but I have started it, and I really, really love it.
So the reason I want to bring that up, as well as I guess going back to Attack on Titan, is because the art for the original manga wasn't the greatest. Just going off by ear from my friend, like he told me Attack on Titan, the art in the manga isn't like that great. And I've seen like that one interview with the author, like it was like a really short clip where he even acknowledged that his art wasn't the greatest. But if the source was given to a capable studio such as like Mappa, then it can do a complete 180.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're talking about Isayama's old artwork, especially in the first couple of volumes of Attack on Titan, then yeah, that's definitely the case. And the studio that started the Attack on Titan anime, the first 3 seasons with Studio, they did amazing jobs on translating the titans from these, you know, incorrectly sized people and stuff that kind of look weird, with weird proportions and all of that, into, you know, something that moves and breathes and it feels alive. But also Isayama has come like a long way in that decade, and his current art is actually stunning in my opinion to look at.
Right, right. I was gonna say as well. You know, artists can grow. You know, just like anyone else, artists can grow in art, in their skills and anything. So you know, anything can happen. I guess one other note, for me is, I don't know if you watched like any like early 2000s or like early 2010s anime. What comes to mind?
Your Death Notes, your Code Geasses.
Yeah, yeah. I sort of have a soft spot for that art because that's sort of the stuff I grew up on. So I guess going back, like art really doesn't matter for me.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I mean, I'm not that young, so yeah, I think we've grown up watching some of the same anime as well. And, you know, they, like back then, in the 2010s especially, shows used to have um, very similar art styles with the big eyes and, you know,
Pointy chins,
yeah,
long
and the
limbs.
really shiny hair and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But I think it worked for the time, and yeah, it's definitely nostalgic to look back at and even watch sometimes when you're, you know, craving that nostalgia. It's still pretty good.
yeah. That's another thing. I always say like a lot of animes nowadays they all look the same, which shouldn't be too weird because that's sort of the case with any piece of media that was created during that time. Like, of course, they're all going to look the same. Uh, so when you know a show comes out that looks really different, uh, you know that's really like that catches your eye immediately. So
Yeah, I agree with that actually. The best shows, the most unique ones at least, like King of Rankings. I think that's the
ranking,
name.
yeah,
Yeah,
ranking of kings.
Ranking of Kings. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, it has a really distinct art style, especially for the main character. You know, if you can design your characters well and they can really stand out, like above the entire crowd of generic anime characters with red hair and stuff like that, it can definitely shine.
Yeah. Throughout like the entire time I was watching that show, I was just talking to my friend. I'm like, this could be really good on like something like Adult Swim. I think this would do really well on like Adult Swim, showing it to you know a more Western audience who maybe aren't that familiar with like anime or you know stuff from Asia. Uh, just because the art it doesn't look like anime, you know, which I like. You know, it's got really thick outlines. It's very I was gonna say Disney-esque, but not really. But like, you know, it just looks different. It just looks like uh, it just looks like something that belongs there. You know, something that would do well.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of shows can do that actually. Yeah, like Odd Taxi
Odd
or
Taxi, yes,
Beastars. They
yes,
don't really.
yeah.
Yeah, they don't really have that anime distinct art style, so they can definitely work overseas.
Yeah, especially like I think Odd Taxi, especially just because anthropomorphic animals and in sort of that more cartoony art style. I never watched Beastars, but it's CG, right? Is it CG?
Yeah, mostly, yeah. You can notice it with the lighting and stuff like that, but in terms of movement, it was very smooth. So it wasn't jarring in any way.
Yeah, cool. I guess we'll move on to our next topic, which is adaptations, and I guess anime originals if you want to get into that. And I guess more specifically, is it always necessary to be faithful to the original source material if there is one?
Aha.
So, yeah, so, you know, an obvious example would be Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah, that was a big
Uh,
difference, actually.
yeah, yeah. For those of you who are unaware, Full Metal Alchemist, it initially there was the first adaptation that was made in 2003, but it deviated from the manga because it eventually caught up. So the studio had to make an anime original scenario and ending from I think halfway through the show until the end, and then in 2009 there was a remaster, I guess, a reboot in 2009.
A soft reboot, yeah.
Yeah, which was a lot more faithful to the original manga. I believe it's pretty damn near 1-to-1, and a lot of people, when you talk about Full Metal Alchemist, they'll always tell you, "Oh, you don't have to, don't bother with the 2003 version. Just watch the 2009 version," which personally kind of irks me because I really like the 2003 version. It was a lot more dark, I would say, both in terms of the art and I guess the story progression, how it was going. Like it was a lot more mystery. It was a lot less shonen than the 2009 version. That being said, Brotherhood was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I'm just saying that if you're if you're one of those people who skipped out on 2003 or are telling people not to watch 2003, then I don't know what to tell you because it's just more Full Metal Alchemist that you get to watch that other people don't.
Yeah, for some reason they always seem to when they reboot like a show like that, they always seem to make the newer version, like as you said, more shonen and in a more comedic direction, like not just with Full Metal Alchemist, but also Hellsing and Hellsing Ultimate. And I think, but I could be wrong. Maybe they rebooted it for different reasons, but Hunter x Hunter also got a reboot like that.
Yeah, I'm I'm trusting you on this. I haven't watched Hellsing, and I've only watched the first 2 episodes of Hunter x Hunter. So
I have only watched Hunter x Hunter. Wait, what? Sorry, got that out. I have only watched Hellsing fully. I haven't watched Hunter x Hunter, so I could be wrong about the comedic thing in the 2011 reboot. But for Hellsing and Hellsing Ultimate, there's definitely a big difference, or at least like a medium-sized difference in the tone of the show itself. Like very similarly to Full Metal, the first one is a lot more darker in its tones, in its themes, and even the art style. But the other one is, as you said, more shonen type and more comedic.
another wildfire, trash fire, whatever you want to call it, is Promised Neverland season 2.
Ah, the Cloverwork curse on the endings. Yeah.
Yep.
Wonder Egg priority as well.
Yep. Wonder Egg. Oh gosh. Oh, I remember when the special came out. All my friends were so hyped on it because I guess like the original. I wouldn't say the original, but like the first full set series. I don't know what to call it. The first 12 episodes.
The first season.
The first season.
Yeah.
The first season. It was good. It was like wacky. It wasn't wacky. It wasn't wacky in that
Not
sense.
wacky.
But it was just like out there. It was really colorful.
It really was out there.
Yeah, it was just so different from everything else we were watching.
Oh my god.
Like we had such high hopes, and then it just it's something we don't talk about.
I'm actually agonizing right now. Like a couple of days ago, like maybe a week and a half ago, I was like just randomly scrolling through Twitter, and I reminded myself of, oh, Wonder Egg Priority, what happened to that anime? I loved it. And then I had to remind myself of what happened. Like I totally just blanked that out of my memory. Like I just decided to forget about it. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, man. Like, for having a faithful adaptation that can please the majority of people, I think that as long as something isn't rushed and the characters can take their time to fully develop throughout the show, it's okay to like deviate a little bit, because you eventually have to do that when adapting a manga into a season that's made up of really short 20-minute episodes. I think it's inevitable for the most part. But, the entire anime fandom would agree that rushing events, especially near the end of the story, just ruins the entire thing, and it should be a crime, for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. Obviously, like we can all tell when something's rushed, which is, you know, pretty unfortunate. But again, I can understand why some things have to be cut out, or we had to censor some stuff. Like I think My Hero, they skipped an entire arc. Apparently, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. I just saw, you know, I just glanced at a video on YouTube saying like they skipped an entire arc. So I don't know what the deal about that. Blech. I don't know what the deal is on that.
I think My Hero is like in a different island on its own. Just like the manga and the anime seem to be going in very separate directions.
Yeah, I haven't been keeping up with the anime. Like I after season 4, I just stopped caring. I guess another topic is light novels and webtoons. Again, we're still talking about adaptations and originals, so there's a ton of light novel adaptations. A lot of the times, a lot of stuff is cut out, and so what I tend to do, like for example, Mushoku Tensei. I don't know if you watched Mushoku Tensei, but there was a lot of jobless reincarnation.
Is that the weird one? Yeah, it's the weird one.
Yeah, the weird one where
yeah, I know it. I heard about it.
Yeah, so it's a really good show. I really like it, but there's a lot of stuff that was cut out, and so what I tend to do is I just go on YouTube and watch cut content, like what they cut out and stuff, and I'd be like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Just so I can have like more context on what happened and whatnot. Also webtoons. I don't know if you watched Tower of God or Noblesse, God of High School. I don't know if you watched any of those.
I haven't, but I watched one that was recommended to me by a friend. It's one about vampires. I forgot the name, but
yeah, I think that was Noblesse.
Noblesse,
maybe?
yeah.
Don't quote me.
Yeah, Noblesse. I think nobody liked the anime, or people just forgot about it. I'm not really sure which one, but it seems like the webtoon is way better, just in terms of pacing and stuff.
Yeah, we've all heard that meme of just read the manga. Yeah, I think with webtoon adaptations, definitely just read the webtoons. Yeah, because
just read the webtoon. Yeah. I mean, webtoons are colored. Sometimes they have their own soundtrack. Like, what else could you want? You could just imagine the sounds of the voices of the characters in your head.
Yeah, webtoons are pretty amazing when you think about it. I actually tried reading Tower of God. I didn't really like get to reading it, like committing to it. But it seemed good. When I finished Tower of God, I know season 2 is coming out, but the first season, like I was just baffled with how much they were cutting out, and the God of High School as well. I was really looking forward to that one because it just felt like again, MAP is doing the animation. It's a very popular webtoon. So like, what can go wrong?
At least they nailed the fight scenes.
At least they nailed the fight scenes.
At least they nailed the fight scenes. Yeah.
But Yeah, any final notes before we move on to the next topic? All right, so the audio got messed up here, but basically what Aku was asking me was the whole controversy around Mushoku Tensei and what I thought about it, because the whole premise of the show is this grown adult, he gets reincarnated as a kid to another world, and he has feelings for another kid, so it's sort of like, well, is this guy a P word? Is he not a P word? And yeah, that's what we were talking about. So there's your context. Back to the video.
Right, but oppositely, if a story is a little more complex with its storyline and characters who are essentially good people doing bad things, that makes diving into their personal dilemmas way more interesting. And that's the case with shows like Attack on Titan or Zankyo no Terror is a really complex shows with its characters. The two main characters are supposed to be, at least at the start of the show, terrorists, just bombing buildings and such. But as you dive more, as you watch more of the show and as you dive more into their backstory, you understand that they have an end goal, and that end goal is really specific to things that relate to those characters and the world, and how the world has affected them, and now how they are going to affect the world to lead to some sort of massive change that would be better overall for humanity in the future, for example, right? So they heavily explore this idea that there are no good guys and bad guys, and you can't really just measure how moral a person is by their actions alone, but you also have to see the goodwill that a person has. And that's really, I don't know, in my opinion, in my eyes, that's really interesting to like dive into those characters and make videos about them, for example.
Yeah, well, you're talking about that. The thought that came into my mind is like, at the end of the day, it's fiction, and I think we should all just look at shows or any piece of media in an objective sense, just looking at it as it is. And these shows have great stories. They're good shows, and if you want to get political about it, then we can't really stop you. But I guess all I'm saying is this is a good show, and I like it.
So basically, what Kiriko is saying is we should all, as a collective, go outside and touch some grass.
Yes.
And I agree.
Yes. Speaking of touching grass, next topic, the voice acting.
Sound effects and voice acting.
Boom, boom, pow.
Woo.
Okay. Voice acting. Yeah. So, all right, I have to ask, subs or dubs?
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with watching dubbed. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. However, I usually watch shows with subtitles, just because I believe the Japanese voice acting direction is usually way more developed with its emotions. I feel like you can agree with me on this.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, for me, I mentioned this on a couple occasions on a couple of videos, but for me, if there is a dub for a show, I'm always gonna watch the second episode in dub, and if I like it, I'll keep watching it in dub until something happens. Maybe a character comes out and I'm not really fond of the voice, then I'll switch back to sub. But for the most part, that hasn't really happened. I'm an equal opportunist, I would think. So there are plenty of shows where I prefer the dub over the sub, actually. And I'm not just talking about, like, I guess the obvious picks like Death Note, Code Geass. You know, those two are, I guess, generally accept. Oh, Full Metal Alchemist as well. Like
Yeah.
those shows are just generally accepted as like, oh, these shows have like really good dubs. Black Lagoon as well. I don't know if you watch Black Lagoon, but if you're gonna watch it, definitely watch it in dub. Um, Penny and Stocking as well. Like
Yeah.
those two shows. Yeah, those two shows you have to watch it in dub. You can. It's just it's so real. Okay, maybe real's not the correct word, but
It
there's a
it
lot more oomph.
yeah, it fits the vibe more. Like Black
Yeah,
and Cowboy Bebop, I think, are good examples of that as
yeah,
well.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, dubs aren't always that bad, so do give them a chance. Like obviously, 9 times out of 10, I would watch in sub, but you know, again, I'm not like, oh, dubs are complete crap or garbage, doo doo. Just don't watch them.
Yeah, there are actually a lot of fantastic English voice actors out there, especially in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. I remember there's this scene in Golden Wind, Part 5, where Giorno, the main character, screams like this fighting noises muda muda for like a good 40
Yeah,
seconds.
the 7 page Muda,
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
that.
and it's remarkable in both the dubbed and the subtitled versions. It's insane.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. There was something else I wanted to say, but I forgot. Uh, I guess can good voice acting carry a shitty show, or is that like too far of a stretch? Like it's like yeah, I can take a bad plot, but good characters, and I can take bad animation, but you know the plot and characters are good. Like I can take that, but if the voice acting is like terrible, then is that like a is that like a hard stop?
I mean, if it's for one of the main characters, then yeah. But if it's for like a side character that's probably gonna die off by episode 5, then I don't mind, right? But like on the other end, really good voice acting cannot carry a bad plot at all, because I feel like that's the case with Tokigul, right? Natsuki Hanai, who was the Japanese voice for Kaneki,
Yeah, I forgot he
was
played him.
spectacular. He was amazing with his screams and everything. But at the end of the day, no, not even him can, not even he could fix Route A, right?
Oh gosh, Route A. The mess that was Route A. I remember. I watched the last episode of Route A when it came out. I was so sad. I was like, season 1 was so good. What happened?
That's what happens when you deviate from the source material. It's
Yeah.
never good.
I tried watching. I tried watching the sequel to that as well. I forgot what it was. What it was. Um, I tried watching the sequel
Re,
as well, but it.
I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
Tokyo
Tokyo
Ghoul
Re.
Re.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried watching that. No, still
But
no.
it couldn't make any sense. Did you know that when season 3 and 4 Tokyo Ghoul Re was airing in Japan, they advertised the manga with it, and they were like, you have to read these volumes first because season 2 was hell of a mess. So in order to understand season 3, in order to be on the same level, you should read the manga. So even the people who made the show, they were like, just go read the manga. It
That's weird.
it was
I didn't
incredible.
know that. That's weird. I don't know how to say. I don't know what to say about that. I was at first I was like, oh, props to props to the studio going like, yeah, this is a shitty show. Just go read the manga. But at the same time, it's like you're like this is like your property. This is something this is like yours. Like, at least like, well. I doubt that's what they were going for. Like I don't think they were trying to downplay. I'm pretty sure it was like a promotional tactic to get people to buy the manga. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
that's just super weird. fun factoid.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just one last one. One last topic I wanted us to touch upon. How do you feel about sound design, and do you have a favorite composer?
Hey, we were gonna get into that. That was the last point. Um, ooh, I can't name any like composer off the top of my head. I'm not really like that big of a. I don't really follow composers. I know oh the guy, his name keeps appearing in a lot of animes. He did the opening to Recreators. Sawano Hiroyuki. Yeah, that guy. As for like sound design, whenever I think of sound design, I think of Berserk 2016 and the frying pan.
And the metal clanking in the kitchen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I think of when I think sound design. But there's something that there is one sound that I really don't like, and I heard it pop up in like a few shows. Fire Force, namely, the first episode of Fire Force, that explosion sound, that really bassy explosion sound. That's not. I don't like that.
Oh yeah, that's not it. Yeah.
But music and anime in general, I think it's not like a make or break thing for me. But if like everything else is bad, but if the opening or ending is good and it's like really memorable, I think I can't say it's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess it's good because it is memorable for the opening, but it's also bad because it's only memorable for the opening.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There have been a couple of shows like that.
Sometimes the openings and endings, especially the endings, but sometimes openings can sort of just be an afterthought. If the opening's bad, then then it's bad, or like it's not like super spectacular, and it's like it's just whatever. I'm still gonna enjoy the show nonetheless.
Of course, they should all just copy any Ghibli production. A good soundtrack it can carry the mood a long way. Sound design is very important to make a world feel alive, but it's not just, as you said, if it's something really artificial, like, for example, this is in a kind of different medium, but in movies, right? There's this really one famous scream. I think it's called the Willem scream.
Oh, I know.
Sometimes
what that is, yeah.
Yeah, they play in different movies and stuff, and like, I don't know if it's because I've been on the internet for a long time, but I can always identify when I hear it in a movie, and it really takes me out of the experience, and I think it's kind of like the bass boosted explosion sound effect that you were talking about. So, it it doesn't really feel like it's something that that is a part of this world, but instead, it sounds like stock sound effects, right?
Yeah. Speaking of movies, that's another interesting point. I get it depends on how you're watching it as well. Like if you're watching like an anime film, like let's talk about the JJK Zero movie, right?
Haven't seen it yet, unfortunately, but yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. My friend watched it twice in theaters, and he said he said, well, it was amazing, first of all, according to him. I haven't watched it yet, but
I believe it. Believe it.
I believe it. It's such a different experience if you're watching it in a theater, because that's when the music and sound design really shine. Just because it's like surround sound, it makes you that much more immersed. So yeah, music and sound design really it really depends on how you're watching it.
I get it. Yeah, it's definitely a different experience if, like, say you're gonna watch, I don't know, yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen Zero or Demon Slayer, or I don't know. I'm for some reason I'm just picturing watching the Chainsaw Man anime when like in a movie theater. Like imagine I'm just renting out an entire movie theater just to watch the Chainsaw Man anime. That would be a dream come true.
Imagine if there was like, if they made like a 1 hour like prologue movie to the anime.
I'm in. I love Chainsaw Man. Anything.
I never actually read Chainsaw Man. I know one of my friends was reading it. I don't know if he's still reading it, but I heard nothing but good things about it. It ended, right? The manga ended?
Yeah, it ended, I think, like, maybe December or September, something like that in 2021. But we're getting the anime this year, so that's a big win. That's a big win. Actually, my favorite composer is it all loops back around. My favorite composer is going to make the soundtrack for the Chainsaw Man anime. He's also done the soundtracks for A Silent Voice, Devilman Crybaby, Ping Pong. See, we're really closing this video neatly with a beautiful bow tie.
Yes. several knots leading into the bow tie, but a beautiful bow tie nonetheless.
It's a beautiful shoelace, yeah.
But yeah, those are all the topics that I wanted to cover. Did you have anything else we could talk about?
I think we've covered everything, really.
Yeah, cool. So I guess for those of you who watched this long, I'm not sure how long it is, but more of the story.
We'll tell you. We'll figure it out and we'll tell you later.
Yeah, more of the story. Anime is awesome, and you know. Oh, I forgot to mention this in the beginning. If for some reason you weren't so sure, these are all our opinions. You know, don't take this as, you know, fact or anything.
No, this is objective facts. Okay, if you think anything else, you're wrong, and you should be mad at yourself. Yeah.
If you think anything wrong, you are a bad person, and you should feel bad. Don't even comment in the comments.
You should go right now and sit in a corner.
Yes, click off this video right now. Dislike it. I don't care. I'm not gonna see it anyway.
Leave a like. Leave a like, and then leave a like if you agree with us. Leave a like if you do not agree with us, and then we'll know which is which, and we will debate you personally.
Yes,
soon.
We will answer every single comment in the comment section until this video gets claimed. Oh god, I just jinxed myself.
Damn.
But yeah, anime's cool. You should go watch it. But remember to touch grass. I don't know. That's gonna be the more of the video. Just go touch some grass. But anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for the video. If you enjoyed it, I don't know why I'm repeating myself. We already told you to click the like button and comment. Comment down below on what you think. Give us your criteria on what makes an anime great. I'd love to hear it. Also, subscribe to my boy Aku. Great guest. Thank you for coming on. Go follow him on Twitter.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah, I'll see you in the next video whenever that happens. Bye.